Heyo, my name is Sarah and I'm back. Yes, I know I've been gone for a little bit. I was in the worst reading slump ever. I will admit that. But as you can see, I am back with a book review, and looking at the title, well, I can say is that today's book review is on Aliens vs. Predators Prey by Steve and Stephanie Perry. Yay! I might have found a new hyperfixation. So first of all, yes, I have the omnibus and I also have the single edition. Truthfully, I got the single edition literally when I was about to finish the first book, so I just thought it'd be nice to show it. So yeah. And I'm just gonna put it right there to look pretty. So, non-spoilers. I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. We land on the planet of Ryoshi and by a group of people working for a different corporation. Not the Weyland Yutani, but I believe the Chigusa Corporation. And our main character is Machiko Noguchi, which I will be referring to her last name Noguchi because that's how she was written in the book. Well, yes, she is running a certain operation where they are basically ranchers with some sci-fi-ish cattle, and they're just minding their own business, doing their daily lives on this planet. But what they don't know is that this is also a hunting ground to go train young Yacha. And that's where we meet Deshande, who is the leader, and I also believe clan leader, of a group, and he's bringing them there to Ryoshi to hunt hard meats, aka aliens. And the accidental Quinky Dink just throws a huge domino effect in a normal day. So yeah, what to say? Well, I really enjoyed Prey. But the reason why I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars is because I think, first of all, for the edition I was reading, there were some grammatical errors that did make me go, huh? So just like a couple of situations where there was like someone talking and they just forgot to end the quotations for the talking, or they were just starting that in such a way. But there was also some parts where there were, I guess you could say, typos, especially when referring to certain character names, because there were some characters there, and then I had them written down. I was like, wait, I went back and I saw that there might have been a typo when they were writing it up and just no one caught it. That will get me every now and again. That's kind of like dings a star for me. The other one is that we have multiple POVs, not just from Deshande or Noguchi, but also from other characters, both human and Yacha. Some of them are needed, some of them are just there to let you know that a situation is changing, and some of them is like, I have no clue who you are. You're only in here to let me know something is happening. So sometimes I felt like that could have been pushed out. That might get some people going, do I really need this? Other than that, this would have been a very shorter book had I been in there, because I suss out a problem, I see it, I'm hitting the log to do an air evac, and we would have just been done. But either way, no, I'm not in there, so trouble ensues, because again, we have people, ranchers, workers for a different company on Ryoshi, and here is Noguchi just trying to figure her way through because she's the new boss, and one of the people that's been there a little bit longer, he's about to end his rotation, he's about to leave because a ship is coming to pick up the cattle in a way, and she's just trying to find her footing. She's not really big social, but she realizes, hey, I'm gonna be here basically on my own, trying to work with these group of people that, you know, already have their way of living kind of situation, and I kind of need to get my way out there. So the day when she actually tries to do that, Deshande brings his ship down, and all I can say is something happens. A fib, a small little kind of consequential fib, just sets things in motion, and let's just say Deshande ends up in the care of the people at the Prosperity Wells. That's where they are, and no one is controlling the alien, which was supposed to be a hunt, outbreak. And again, problems ensue. I really like Deshande. I loved him so much. He was so fun to be around. Also, I'd just be like, Deshande, help. Help! I know you can hear me, Deshande. And I also liked Noguchi because, again, we were seeing her going from a cold-hearted person to someone slowly trying to open up to people, to her becoming that hard person again to protect the people, and her working with Deshande. I love that so much. And it's so sad what happened at the end, and also realizing, again, small book, short book. I think it was like 270 pages, so it kind of just went like, when you know that ride was just going up, 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 you're just like, oh, until you get to the final end, and you get to the ending, and you're like, oh. But then again, omnibus, mini, I actually have the other collections, but I was reading from this one, so I will actually continue reading from the omnibus. So the singles will just look pretty because they are pretty. And yes, I will admit I kind of have a hyperfixation right now because Badlands was really, really good, and I kept hearing about, you know, the talks of the old ones. And since I like AVP, I decided to read this, and I have to say, I know Dan is doing the Predator franchise, but I would like to see him just be a producer, but a different director who kind of dipped his toes a little bit in sci-fi. Had a couple of okays, had some really, really good ones. Try to do AVP because we also find out, like, you know, again, different company, multiple galaxies, so we can actually have something that goes off and actually get maybe a proper adaptation of AVP Prey. And then they could probably tie it in back into the other Predator franchise. Director who did Rogue One and The Creator. Ideas? Dan, you want to be a producer? Because this would be so fun. Again, I really, really, really enjoy the first AVP. We don't talk about the second one unless we're talking about Wolf, but I would love to see this adapted. And again, that's as much as I can say. I really, really liked Prey. I liked the characters. It's kind of short, so I can't give much more non-spoilers. Again, some typos in there that always knocks a star out for me, and just some multiple POVs that we kind of just went to, kind of went off, got the ideas just for the scene, could have maybe done some without it, but I like the characters, I had fun, and I can't wait to read the second one. So yeah, that's the end of non-spoilers. Alien vs. Predator Prey by Steve and Stephanie Perry. 3 out of 5 stars. Bye, non-spoilers. Spoilers. I'm gonna keep that up there because she just wants to be pretty, and I'm just gonna give her the limelight. So yeah. Again, we enter on a space cargo ship going to the planet of Ryushi, where the Chigusa company or corporation has a operation going on, and it's Prosperity Wells, and it's basically a ranching settlement for creatures called rhines. The best way I can describe them are like a mix between cows and rhinos. So they're practically cattle. That's what they're out there doing on Ryushi, and this is where the Lecter, the ship being piloted by these guys named I think Tom and Scott, they're going there to do the rounds, pick up the things, and pick up people who are probably done with that rotation and taking them somewhere else to be reassigned. Yes, that's how we meet Noguchi, Machiko Noguchi. Again, I will be referring to her last name because that's how it was written in the book. So she has been there for about 6 months. She's kind of that person where you try to, like, you know, be friendly, try to get a connection because you're going to be working with each other, and she just kind of gives you that stoned expression, and you're like, okay. And she wasn't really social with people, so again, she's kind of like, meh, but then she's realizing that when the Lecter comes, she's actually going to be alone because the person that's been on here for a little while is Hiroki. Everyone knows Hiroki. He's always with people, talking to people, knowing about their day, knowing what's going on, their grievances, what's going on with the rhines. He's basically that boss you can go to talk to, and he's about to leave, so Noguchi is gonna have to take up his spot, and again, she really doesn't have that good of a connection with people, so it's like one of those, even Hiroki's like, hey, you might want to start talking to people. And that's where she's like, you know, okay, I'll try. It's one of those where she tries to be nice and people are like, I don't know how to feel. I don't know what to do. Let's just see what happens. That kind of situation. In space, again, the Lecter is coming. Tom and Scott are driving it. They're okay, guys. I didn't mind them. It was Scott I had a little bit issue. If they did a movie adaptation, again, we might want to either change some things about them. But yeah, they are driving in space, and a certain invisible spaceship forgets to put on its blinkers because they get like a little push. Yes, they almost had a tailbone incident with a Yautja Predator invisible ship heading to Ryushi. And that is being flown by Yeyende, aka Deshande. Yeyende, meaning brave one, was the name the Yautja clan leader was given, but everyone calls him Deshande because it means different knife. He was on a hunt. He lost a mandible, a little fang, so you know people are like, haha, Deshande. Sorry about that, but that's what he goes by now, Deshande. And he is now leading a hunt for some unblooded Yautja warriors. So they're going to Ryushi with a ship of an alien queen, and the thing is they're going to send a little thing to drop some eggs, have the face huggers do their thing, and once the hard meats are going, they will begin their hunts. And so yeah, he's there to do that. The reason why I said if I was in this book it would be over so fast is because the unblooded, the young Yautja, you know, they're, you know, hot-blooded, hot-tempered. That's why when we see them, there's this one Yautja. And again, Deshande, he is known to be a little bit more patient, lenient than other leaders when it comes to these young hunters. They're going to make mistakes, he acknowledges that, but he's also going to keep them in line. And there is one that's very, very impatient. I'm going with that word right now. And Deshande, to have them blow some steam, they do a quick little combat. And this Yautja is not very sportsmanlike, and I am saying that for a Yautja, because when his opponent is on the ground and everyone, like, you know, hollers, ah, Deshande clocks this person, this Yautja, kicking his opponent who's already down, and of course he corrects him because he's still bigger, stronger, and he puts this Yautja in place. But you can see he's got spirit, he's got fire, he will make a good hunter, but he still kind of challenges a little bit. And that is Deshande. Deshande. Oh my god. Oh my god. I am sorry, people. I have to use this word. But Deshande, he is a little asshole. I swear to God. The moment I saw him, and the good reason why I'm not here, because if I was on that ship, Deshande would put me in a room, lock the door in a timeout, and make me think about my ways, because I've been like, oh no, my hand hit the button that opens the airlock and Deshande was in there. Oh my god, he was such an asshole. Oh my god, I hated Deshande so much. The moment I smelled that defiance with very little respect, I was like, you're lucky I'm not there. I hate him so much. I hate him so much. Deshande, you have greater patience than I do. The part where the domino effects start happening is after Deshande sends down a drone to deliver the eggs so the facehuggers can do their thing. He's also thinking about, you know, the possibilities of soft skins being there. Humans, he's always thought about, you know, hunting humans. Umans, as they would call them, because they are very sneaky, clever, tricky creatures. So in Yautja culture, they kind of built up the humans as they're going to fight back. They're going to be not sometimes honorable about trying to survive a situation. I also have to say, side tangent, what I should probably put in non-spoilers, another thing that's probably going to get people, is there will be some parts in the chapters where we do either like dream sequences or flashbacks that not be able to get people, like, you know, like, oh, we probably didn't need that. I didn't mind them as much because one of them that we do see is, well, you know, Deshande is like, thinking about possibility of, one day hunting humans, but he's got to focus on the script right now. It's him, like, when he was doing his very first hunt, because these guys are about to do their first hunt, how he was actually very close to one of his brothers. Like, you could see that in the flashback, and his brother did not make it through his hunt. He died, and like, Deshande is like, there goes that dream of us both being leaders and possible clan leaders. I kind of like that. It gives us a little bit of what you expect, a little character growth, especially when we have one dream sequence with Noguchi, where she had a situation when she was a kid, and there was an incident that happened with her father. What I mean by that is, like, he was investigated in his company, for, I think it was like fraud, and before that went pretty further, and she kind of saw that, so that's why she's always trying to be like very serious. So I guess that was a good way to flesh out the characters. Some people might not like that. I kind of like that. Again, side tangent, but yeah, he's kind of Deshande's kind of reminiscing about the past. Wanted to put that out for Noguchi as well. And it was also during that time where Noguchi and Hiroki are actually going to go meet the ranchers that are out there in the field with the Rhinds, and that's where we meet Ackland again. The character, I get he's being a little hard and very judgy. I'm being nice with words right here with Noguchi. They basically call her an ice queen situation, and she's actually just trying to interact with people, and she knows like the Rhinds, they're a little bit groggy and stuff. She's like, yeah, we're just letting them rest. But after they leave, and after, because they have cowboys, farmers checking on the rides, and they do their little rotations at night, one of the riders, I think her name is Roth, brings up to Ackland that, hey, we found these things around the Rhine and they look suspicious. And what she presents to Ackland is a dead face hugger. And as a reader, we know what that means, but as the characters, they have never seen it before. So like, first of all, don't tell anyone that we found it in this gorge where the Rhines are known to be. Tell them it was found over somewhere else, and just give it to the doc to look at, because that morning when Noguchi was talking to Ackland, she was promising, like, after all the things that they kind of did to get the Rhines should be ready for shipment, she's gonna try to get them a better deal for their payments. And Ackland doesn't want to what's the word? Not sabotage it. Risk it. He does not want to risk it, so that's why he's gonna lie. So they take the face hugger back to Prosperity Wells without letting Noguchi know. Roth takes it to Dr. Revna, who again is the local doctor. He and his wife Miriam, they are there working, and Roth gives him the face hugger. He's like, oh, a possible new discovery. Where'd y'all find it? We found it at that gorge. So what does the good doctor do? He sends the samples to get, looked at. New discovery, possibly, find what's going on. And he lets his wife know, hey, I'm just gonna go check it out. It's probably not gonna be anything bad. I'll be back soon. And of course, it's one of those, if I'm not back, we'll just let someone know situation. Just going to go check things out, and that's where the domino effect happens. Because again, the face huggers were with the Rhine. The Rhine are feeling a little groggy, a little weird, that Ackland does not want people to know, because they will be put in quarantine, and that would affect everyone's bonuses. So Dr. Revna goes to the other gorge where a certain spaceship lands. And a bunch of hunters come out, and he's up at the ridge looking at that, and there are the Yacha hunters there with their ship, and Deshande is about to remind them, we are only here to hunt the hard meat. If you see a soft meat, just go invisible and don't interact. He is about to set the rules of this hunt when, lo and behold, they spot an Ooman up there, and they know we really don't want to interact with the Oomans. So sadly, we're gonna have to get rid of this one because it will alert the others. Again, sound reason. Don't like the situation, but sound reason. Dr. Revna tries to get on his flyer. It's like basically a hover bike. it kind of messes up. Deshande tries to take him out without, pain. But again, Dr. Revna, unable to control his little hover device, his flyer for a second, and it goes a little haywire. He manages to get control after plowing through the unblooded. He accidentally also takes out one of them that decides to hang on a little bit too long, and he kind of sideswipes a cliff and the and Dr. Revna is managing. He literally misses the ship. He's catching altitude. He's about to make it. And then our little asshole Deshande shoots a blaster, hits the motor engine. Dr. Revna knows he's about to die, and then the flyer alters course and hits the ship, and it both explode, killing both of the blooded experienced there to keep an eye on the unblooded. Yautja, and Deshande is extremely wounded that they think he's about to die. You know what this little opportunist decides to do? Deshande throws his weight around and says, they were there to kill them, the Oomen, and now we must get vengeance, we must get revenge. What about Deshande? He is about to die, so we shall avenge him. We will find the Oomens and kill them after, that just happened. They also forget about the Hardbeats, the aliens that are there, and because the other two warriors that were there with Deshande aren't there as well. They aren't there to do population control for when the aliens, start making more aliens. So there's the domino effect. Oh Lord, here we go. The Lecter arrives there with Tom and Scott. Everyone is there for the welcoming, the goodbyes, because again, Hiroki and a bunch of people who are done with their rotations are going to leave on with the Lecter after they collect the ranked ready to go for production. And Noguchi is there letting people know, hey, I got those bonuses, so we're gonna get some more money for y'all guys. So people are like, yay. She's actually interacting with people, and they're like, oh, maybe she's actually a good person. We still have Ackland being a douche. And again, what they could probably change, they did a movie adaptation, is Scott got a little too drunk and he tried to, nice of a word, hit on Noguchi as she's taking over the comm. She's giving his kid some time to go enjoy the party. She's also reading up the report that was sent back on the facehugger from Dr. Revna that was analyzed. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll catch up with Revna about this, because apparently he's out looking, so hopefully he'll be back and we could just talk about what's going on. I don't even know how Scott even wandered in here. Yeah, he probably followed Noguchi. I'm just surprised he made it all the way there considering how drunk he was. And so again, he tries to flirt and then he gets a little forceful. What they don't know is Noguchi is trained. I know it's not taekwondo. It might be jujitsu. It's a form of self-defense. She pulls on him. He says some very not nice words to where I did not really like Scott. I really didn't feel any bad for what happens to him afterwards. But again, Tom comes in there. He tries to smooth things over. And she's basically like, yeah, just take him. And they go back to the Lecter where the ride has been loaded on. And seeing the cuts to where they are not alone. Things are getting a little questionable because time does a little bit pass, I believe, and Noguchi does get worried about Dr. Revna because, again, he went out on his own. We haven't heard back from him, and even Miriam is starting to get a little worried, and maybe he might be hurt or worse. So a team does go to the gorge where we know he was going, because that's where he found the facehugger, supposedly, and the team does see the destroyed crash site, and they see Deshande, and they're like, yeah, something weird is going on. We don't feel safe right now, but what do we do with this guy? We're taking him back. So Deshande, he was there left dying, is put on a chopper, get to the chopper, and taken back to Prosperity Wells. Well, again, one of the POVs that kind of came in and out just to show you what was going on. People might not like that. We just see a family of farmers with the dog, poor dog, and they're just enjoying dinner. And the dog's like barking, 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 and they think, you know, it's basically the wildlife version of a coyote messing with the rind. And the dad gets ready to fight whatever's out there. They don't see anything. The dog is barking, barking at air. And then, of course, goodbye doggy. Blood. The dad dies. And the mom tries to get the kid out. And that's when the kid, like, you know, sees something covered in his parents' blood and the dog. And he's like, monster. And he manages to escape to try to go to Warren Prosperity Wells. What happened to his parents? Because a bunch of monsters attacked his family. And Tishande knows where everyone else is. Oh my god, I hate this one so much. Everything goes basically to hell after Tishande is brought to Prosperity Wells. Because, again, people are like, what is that? But Miriam, she does the doctor thing. She is tending to Tishande, and again, in an out kind of lucid thing, to where I'm like, Tishande, I know you're awake, man. I know you're awake. I know you're awake. Wake up. But either way, Miriam's tending to him. The kid that escaped makes it back, warns everyone of the monsters. He even points out Tishande as being one of the monsters, which people are in a panic, worried about what's going on, in which Noguchi does manage to take control of the situation. She gives people what to do, tells them basically this one is under our care. It obviously wasn't over there, so probably was part of a different group. She's trying to control the situation, and she knows that the lector is still there. They have not had any communications, so she knows that there's gonna be a bunch of agitated Reints, and she has not heard anything. No one's answering the comms. And so Noguchi, with a group of people, after she manages to sort everything out, especially with Hiroki taking care of some group, she gets an escort to the lector. And it's open. One of the guards goes to try to look for the switch to turn on the light because it's really, really dark and it's really, really hot. And I think it's also nighttime now. He sees something grabs him, and it's that scene where like and you just see the feet dingle up because what they call bugs. We are now seeing the aliens attack. Noguchi was luckily given a firearm that does do some damage, but she loses her escort. She manages to run. The other escort is dead, and here comes the aliens, the big green bugs. And then all of a sudden she sees like a shimmer of light, and it's another Yacha. Again, another POV that we kind of just didn't need to know, but it's still there. And yeah, she sees like, yeah, it's the same one, but he looks not very skilled, because this predator, this Yacha, goes for a kill. He's like, man, this ain't hard. But then he gets swarmed and he dies. Very gruesome. But that's also because we have aliens on the loose, and it's at the same time where the base gets attacked by Tishande, and the others have decided to follow him. Yeah, Noguchi, she's trying to make her way through this mess. We know we're getting attacked by unseeable attackers, and she manages to make it to where some of the people are holed up, because Hiroki is with another group and they are trying to fight Tishande's main group. This other group of Prosperity Wells, they are over here getting attacked by a different group of Yacha, just like, you know, same party, different group. And Noguchi manages to make it through. They manage to get into contact with Hiroki, because they were going to try to make it to the lector. They didn't know that there was danger there, so she was trying to warn Hiroki through the intercom. And at the same time, they hear that the door is being breached, and Hiroki's like, you know, doing his farewell, be safe call, when Tishande and the group break in, and the line goes black. And of course, oh god, Tishande wanted his prize, and we all know what the prizes are for the Yacha. So after losing connection, and Noguchi basically goes to be by herself for a moment, one of the people in the group shows her a recording of what's going on outside, because someone decides to have a giant bonfire party as celebration for their very first hunt. And she sees Tishande with his prize. So Are you sure you don't want me to open the airlock? Because we could avoid all this. But either way, Noguchi gears up and she basically gives people a plan of what to do, and she is ready to go. Part of that plan is for her to go outside, which right now we know is a little bit dangerous, but Noguchi is fast. She has to make it to, I think it was one of the pins or a pin that was connected to the lector, and she has to get there. She kind of told people, hey, watch my signal. Everyone, Ackland was trying to be a everyone shut him up. So she's going out there at night, but she realizes there's one person that we have not told anything about right now because she's all by herself. She refused to leave a certain patient, and that's Miriam. So Noguchi does a U-turn around to go there. She's like, you know, Miriam, open up. And she tells Miriam what's going on, and she's like, just, you don't want to move because you want to stay with your patient, because someone's still taking a sweet time on the table. Yeah, Noguchi said, just, I have this plan, just be ready to kind of move when something happens, okay? And she goes back to go execute her part of the plan. What no one noticed was that Tashande saw Noguchi go to a certain area, waited for her to leave, and he used his little loop machine to record her talking when she basically opened up the door. And what does he do? What does this little asshole do? He uses the voice looper to trick Miriam to opening the door. And there's Deshande, and he's there to get rid of Miriam. He's there to Miriam, and he's about to do that when, lo and behold, thank you, Sleeping Beauty decides to wake up. Deshande blocks the attack. He's strapped on the table, and he's still trying to get through because they use straps that are hard, like rank straps. And so he's not very mobile. But there's Deshande. He's like, oh, Deshande. And they try to fight. And again, Noguchi, she's doing her plan. She's entering certain codes into padlocks when she hears, you know, Miriam scream. A bunch of commotion going on where she just left. And that woman, bless her, she crashes her flyer into a wall. There goes Deshande being knocked across the room. There's Deshande, who I imagined him like flipped over, still strapped. And Noguchi raises her firearm to get ready to shoot Deshande when Miriam's like gets in front of him, and she's like, he actually trying to help me. And even through Deshande's point of view, he knows that this was the same person that was taking care of him, and she's doing like the body language showing no harm. And she gets there to unstrap him, and then it's like, let's go, Deshande, let's go, because he sees Deshande and he's like, yeah, I need to teach you a lesson. So while he's like beating, I was like so bloodthirsty, like, get him, when Deshande's, you know, Deshande not feeling so good right now because he's basically beating him as much as possible. I see blood, yeah. Miriam and Noguchi do make it out, and they get to the chopper because Miriam doesn't know how to drive the flyers. And they get there, and they're like, yeah, we don't know how to fly this thing either. But luckily they get on the intercom to talk to someone who is telling them what to do. At the same time, they do have a close encounter with an alien. Noguchi takes care of it. At the same time, Yautja after my own heart. After, you know, basically beating Deshande to a bloody pulp, Deshande takes the staff and just like, you know. So no more Deshande. The crew get the signal because the codes that Noguchi put in there after she and Miriam are up in the air was to take care of possibly both our problems, which are the aliens and the rogue Yautja, because been stuck in a pen overheating all day are the right. And even Deshande, he feels the ground. He's like, oh, I know what this is. I need to get to the high ground. Hopefully my dumb students will know what this is, because this is trouble. There is a stampede clearing out the area. Prosperity Wells, whatever remains. But yeah, that was the signal. The signal was for a stampede. The survivors do go in the other direction because they're going to go to the canyons for shelter. Later on, I'm just going to say this, they get worried about Noguchi. Ackland's still being like, but everyone's now actually like, you know, not listening to him. He's just a big guy going with a bunch of hot air, and they do want to see if time does pass on too much, that they will send out a search party for Noguchi. I'm just throwing that out there just because that's what they are. They went to safety, they made it to safety, and they're just like waiting to see if Noguchi regroups them. But yeah, the girls, the ladies, are in the chopper watching the Rhines just stampede everything, hoping it gets everything, when Miriam points out that there's someone climbing a tower, like a cell phone tower, and it's also being chased by aliens, and they're keeping them away as much as possible. And Noguchi, I get you, girl, I get it. It's one of those things that attacked us, and I know it helped you, but our safety, but Miriam, love this woman. Oh my god. She is like, that's my patient. We need to go help them. And in this whole story, we really don't have like a translator right now working in between. So it's basically a bunch of, gestures, charades, and actions that lead to good intentions. Because Deshande is trying to keep the aliens at bay, and he sees the chopper like literally there, and Miriam's like shouting on him, get on the ship, on the chopper, and Noguchi's like, he probably doesn't understand this. Well, lo and behold, he jumped and he made it on the chopper, and they're trying to steady, but the moment they do steady, an alien jumps on there and like, mayday, we're going down. While all this was happening, there were some survivors in the Lictor, aka Scott and Tom, who were, in the queue, and they're awake. So as the readers, we know what that means. For them, they don't know. So Tom and Scott make it out of the Lictor after seeing a certain alien just sleeping, minding its own business. And they make it out. That was all the chaos was going on with the Predator, with the Yautja and the aliens. They make it to a pen. They're hiding there. Scott notices that Tom's not feeling so good, and they see the chopper crash, because they even see Deshande. They don't know who it is. They just think it's the person. Make the leap because they know what that chopper was out there for. Well, Scott and Tom do go to the crash site, and they see Noguchi, and she's looking for Miriam and everything, and like we gotta get to safety because there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of destruction. Who knows what those things are gonna come back. When they see walking out of the fire is Deshande, and the guys are like, they don't know what's going on, so they're getting ready to panic when Noguchi runs up to Deshande, because he's carrying Miriam, and he knows, through warrior code, that this woman who could have been his enemy not only tended to him when he was injured, she also protected him when Noguchi did aim her firearm, and she came back to rescue him. So all those things that could have led to her death, which it did, she came back for him. So that was like a very honorable thing. So he recovered her, and he presented her back to Noguchi, where she did a quick grieving process, which even he understood. Oh my god. Noguchi, Scott, Tom, and Deshande, they make their way to a pen where it's safe, where they're able to keep the aliens at bay, because Noguchi, she has her firearm, and she does manage to cover Deshande, because he is actually fighting off the aliens. He's covering the rear. He sees them coming. He provides cover, but then Noguchi does provide cover for him, and they are just like such a good working team right now. And to where you see the respect with him, especially when they are now in safety, because he's kind of keeping closer, seeing what her next moves are to get an idea of what to do next. Since the plan didn't work all the way, because they did see some Yautja that were dead. We did some aliens that were dead, but obviously all the aliens were not dead. So the stampede plan was not 100% working. We also, side note, learned from Deshande, from one of those, little inner monologues, that sometimes the aliens are able to change genders to make a queen. So right now we don't know if it's the queen that he had on the ship to produce the eggs, or is that situation, but again, very out of control. And we're trying to think up of a backup. Scott and Tom do allude that there could be a possibility, but it's one of those we don't want to get on the wrong side of the company. Well, don't have to worry about that right now, because dang, this thing was taking so long. It was obviously waiting for the perfect opportunity, but Tom's been coughing a lot, and it eventually gets to the point where, you know, a chest burster happens. Of course, Deshande catches that right then and there, but even he looks at Scott, and Noguchi gets a little worried, but Scott's like, oh, yeah, that didn't meet you as well. So through being very elusive for the reader, Scott, you know, his last moments, he knows he's about to die. He knows that thing is about to come out. He does tell Noguchi, like, because they're going back to the Lector. That's where all of the aliens are going, because even Deshawn is like, yeah, they're kind of keeping close over there, so that must be where the nest is. Scott basically does a quick map draw of the corridors of the Lector, because they have to go back to the Lector to do this last-ditch effort to get rid of the aliens. And so Deshande, he's about to give a quick blow when Noguchi basically signals, no, it's my job. He's one of my people. I gotta take care of it. And Scott's like, okay, I get it. You just hurry up and do it. And, you know, she gives him a quick death. And even at the same time, Deshande, he gets permission from Noguchi to do his thing, and he manages to find the baby little alien before it breaks out, and he takes care of it. Deshande and Noguchi, mission, the Lector. We got aliens, like, you know, trying to get through the door. So they go through a side area, and they are being very stealthy. He is impressed. Even Deshande is impressed, because again, they really don't have to speak. It's the actions that are speaking for themselves, and he has seen how Noguchi works, so he actually has complete trust in this woman. And they are making their way to the Lector. Obviously, the aliens do break through the door. They're like, oh no, the prey is gone, and they do have close encounters with the aliens. And Noguchi is doing her job. She's covering both Deshande and herself. And while Deshande, he is still kind of injured. He is taking care of the aliens. But Noguchi, she does get a quick sneak attack, peekaboo moment. And she does get swiped. Luckily, so her armor that she does have, it's kind of thin. She does get a little hit with a little bit of acid, not much. It looks worse than what it is situation. But Deshande, he takes her to safety. He checks her wounds, and then he realizes, oh, you're a female doing all this. Because again, Yacha culture, the female Yacha are Amazons. And that just like not blows his mind. It just makes his impression of her as a warrior all the more higher. And so even when she's like, I'm okay, I'm good to go, Deshande gives her a name, because they're trying to communicate with each other, trying to tell each other their names, right? Because she keeps calling him Broken Tusk, and she never knew his name in a way, but yeah, she kept calling him Broken Tusk, and she tries to tell him, like, my name's Noguchi, and he can't understand that. But after seeing everything that she's done, and his already, you know, respect for her even goes higher, he gives her a name. It means small knife, Datuti. Again, it's spelled really different in the story. But yeah, he calls her Datuti. And that's how he refers to her in his POVs. Like, that's the one thing I found really interesting in the POV changes. Is like how people refer to other people by, like, you know, their names. Either first name, last name, nickname situation. And I like how when now it's like this, she just kept calling him Broken Tusk. And he never knew what she was called, and now he keeps referring to her as Datuti. I loved it so much. I just like, oh my god, I love this so much. I don't want to go into the Lector. One little funny side moment that even Deshande was like, oh my god, was that obviously some of the Yacha did not get taken out. I think this might have been the only unlucky survivor, because they get ready to head out to the Lector, and they open the door, and quick on the draw, Noguchi, but there is a Yacha on the other side with a weapon ready to go, but Noguchi pow, 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 and takes him out. And well, he's fatally injured, and it's Deshande who throws the final blow. And even he's like, I knew this guy was an idiot. I didn't think he was this stupid, because he kept saying in his training, if you're unsure of what's on the other door, and it might be a fellow hunter, don't go in weapons ready ablazing. Go invisible and check it out. Well, obviously this student didn't, and Noguchi was there. She defended Deshande, and he's like, okay, yeah, this guy was dumb. This guy was stupid. He got a quick death. Let's carry on. I just wanted to throw that in there because I thought that was funny. I should have known that this was close to the end of the book because I was not counting the pages. All I knew was the, chapter. And I was just checking this one because it kept going and going and going. And it was a long chapter. And I did not know why. And I was like, I found out why. I was like, no! But we have the complete, conflict. And it's a long chapter the moment they get into the lector. Because, again, that is the nest. That is where all of the aliens are. And the crew members that were part of the lector, well, they're on the walls, with the and the dead Rhinth on the floor. So we are in enemy territory. And I have to say, Noguchi, you got great memory. Because I would have just been panicking with a flashlight and I would have given away our location on the get-go, because she memorized, the twists and the turns, where to go to find this little hidden secret that Scott gave her, his dying wish. Deshande, he can see better, so he's up in the front. He's taking care of the aliens that are up ahead. Noguchi's taking care of the peripheral and the back, and they're just like running like hell through the twists and turns, also trying to confuse the aliens because it's a maze situation like that. So just keep up. Do not trip because all that little alien goo that they use to put people in is all over the floor situation, right? So they're going up, down, going above ladders, down below. And again, it's one of those where even Deshande almost has a quick surprise as well as Noguchi, where you get to the top of the manhole after climbing the ladder and there's an alien waiting. Well, thankfully, we got some bullets because Noguchi does take care of that. They're a really good team. I really like the team work. It's great. I love it. Let's just hurry up. What Noguchi knows, we need a quick escape plan, which is an escape pod. And again, they are just using body language to communicate. Even Deshande is amused because I think when he says this small little thing bares her teeth at him, I think she's doing a smile instead of "Arr!" or a smile. Just I like to think that. Again, how I like to think he's on the side tilt on the ground, strapped, trying to get out. But basically she has him guard an escape pod while she climbs up the ladder to go find the other thing that Scott told her about. Again, close encounter with an alien. Noguchi running around, realizing she has to do a U-turn because she went down the wrong area. But Deshande realizes because he, opens the thing up and he sees it's an escape pod. It's it's a little cramped in here to pilot, but okay, escape area, good to go. And he waits. And he hears a very distinctive ee down the hall. And he's like, oh dear. And he is still a little bit injured from that blowback from the ship. But he stays. And he guards the escape pod. Noguchi does make her way to where she's supposed to go. It's the control room. And what she does, she has this flash drive from what Scott gave her because they need it. And if it does not activate, we are dead. But it does activate. It takes the access code. And what is that? It's because whatever was with the Lecter when it was up above in the ship in space, the barge. That's what it was called. The barge. The thing that was part of the Lecter and it's still roaming in space. She puts in the little code, and we find out it's for it to... That! Meaning we have T-minus how many seconds to get out of the Lecter. And the aliens are on the other side of the door. And down below on the floor. The Queen is there, looking for Deshande. And he has his blaster. He's like, I only got one good shot. And he sees it coming out of the ladder. And he fires and it goes down. He's like, oh, I did the impossible. And then he hears the eee! He's like, oh, the Queen sent one of her drawings, her workers. He called them something. Droids, that's the word. Droids. And so, yeah, the Queen used a droid to get that final gunshot, and now here she comes out, and Deshande Deshande! Because he's ready to fight, and there comes Noguchi looking down, and she sees him, and the queen sees, and she whacks Deshande with her tail. He's already injured with his ribs. This is a deep impact blow, and Noguchi, she is limited on her rounds, and she fires at the queen. She literally fires, jumps down, and she dodges another tail strike, which, oh my god, Deshande, he takes another hit, but Noguchi manages to pop in the chest of the queen that pushes her back, and she's like, going, right? And Noguchi, she's dragging Deshande into the escape pod. This guy is injured, oh my god. And she puts in the coordinates, and when she looks back, we see a giant head trying to get into the escape pod, and right before it slices the neck off, the queen manages to get a claw, and it hits Deshande, and then the escape pod takes off, and I'm like, Deshande! They make it to safety, and the barge does fall and wipes out Prosperity Wells and everything, and there's no more, if there were any surviving Yautja, no more. All the aliens are wiped out, and Deshande knows his time is coming, and he knows the last thing he has to do as as a warrior, as a clan leader, he has to mark Noguchi with his clan symbol, which is basically a lightning bolt. And he's like, this is the last thing to do. He was worried that his story would not be told. He knows that Datuji will tell his story. He feels very proud. His dying thought was she was the best student he ever had. It was like, oh my god, this is so good. And so again, how they refer to characters in the story. 2 years have passed. 2 months went by before the Chigusa company came, saw what happened. We're just gonna do a write-off. They took the settlers away, different galaxies to go look, but Datuji decides to stay behind. They leave a dog with her. One of the cowboys, Roth's dog, stays behind, and she just goes by Datuji now. And she's just been chilling there waiting. And 2 years go by. She has a nice place. She has a couple of rides that she rides. The dog decided to keep her company, and she has the skull of the alien queen mounted on her house. And for 2 years, Datuji has been waiting for a certain moment. And what happens? She sees a ship descend, a small little ship. And she looks at the dog, she's like, it's time to go suit up. And Datuji sees another ship, because the other one was a little pod. She dropped something. And what does she see down there? Another Yautja ship, full of unblooded there for the hunt. This one is being led by a leader. This is how I call him, Feklida. And he's one of those where he's gonna let the other blooded warriors keep an eye on the unblooded to do their hunt and just make sure the aliens don't get out of control. And he's there just doing exercises, practice moves, which my mind, I like to imagine him, he's doing the runner stretch, the because he's practicing his forms. I just like to imagine he's going getting the stretch on, right? And he notices, he senses that he's not alone, right? And he's like, there's a disturbance of the force. And then Datuji approaches. And Feklida, he's like an Uman, dressed in gear that's similar to another Yautja. Interesting, I should fight this. But then Datuji says her name is Datuji, and he's like, small knife. Because another part of this hunt is to find out what happened to Deshande. Feklida was sent there by other clan leaders, or the higher group of the Yautja society, to find out what happened to Deshande and his team, because even Feklida respected Deshande for being a strong warrior. So again, they got to see what happened. So when he hears Datuji, he's like, wait, that's the feminine version of ... I was like, he gave her his name as well. And she gets closer, Datuji gets closer to Feklida, and he sees Deshande's mark on her, and he's like doing their figuring out what's happening, and basically using again gestures. Dr. D tells Fixlita that yeah, Deshande died in the last hunt, and he's like, oh, I have to report this, but the fact that the Dr. D was marked by Deshande it's like a wow, people are not gonna believe this. And then again, Fixlita is like, why are you here? And Dr. D she raises her fist and she lets out a warrior's call, and Fixlita is like, you want to be part of the hunt, don't you? So the story ends with Fixlita and Dr. D going to go join the others in the hunt. And that's the end of spoilers. So as you can see, I had so much fun in the Alien vs. Predator world that I'm like, oh my god, I really now want to see this story, Prey, adapted. Again, Dan Trachtenberg, I love you, man, I love you, but if you could just be a producer on this, and just throwing his name out there in the ring, the guy who directed Rogue One and the creator, if you want to do an AVP film, you got this right here. But yes, I really had so much fun with Deshande. Oh my god, I loved him so much. I loved him. I loved him so much. Noguchi, girl, you had a growth going on. You were very cold, trying to get to know people. Then you realize these are people I have to protect, and you just like working with Deshande, y'all being the best tag team there is. Oh, I loved it so much. This is so fun. Again, being a reader, knowing what is happening, and you can't just warn these people. I was like, if I was there, I'd be like, get out there, get out of there. Again, if I was there, we wouldn't have most of these problems because Deshande would not be there. I hated him so much. I kind of really wished that Hiroki made it a little bit longer. I really liked him. So, when again, I hated him. I hated this little asshole. I hated Deshande. Again, if I was on the ship or in the story whatsoever, he would not have lasted long. And my hate for him grew even more after what happened with Hiroki. I liked Hiroki. He was fun to be around. I really wish he had lasted a little bit longer to see what happened. I would have loved it if like he was on the ship, on the Lecter, with Noguchi and Deshande doing the final hurrah. But he was not. So again, would have been a shorter book if I was on there, because I would not have stood for Deshande being there. Again, Deshande would have put me in solitude to make me think of my ways. Again, didn't really cry much for, Scott's oh no, because I did not like this character a bit. Again, if this became a movie, we would have to probably change some of that as well. But yeah, it was a fast read. I think again, 270 pages, very short book, to where I actually can't wait to start reading what happens in book 2, because again, we don't know what's going to happen with Dr. D, with Fixlita, because he is part of a different clan of Deshande's. So all I know is that Dr. D, Noguchi, does go, I don't think it's Yaosha Prime, but she does join a clan, and it might be the clan that Fixlita is from. So that's going to be interesting. Either way, I am really excited for this world. And also, since my little hyperfixation came over because of a little movie, I had a problem of not trying to get into spoilers of what happened in the book, but now that I read book 1, I can probably read the comic now. So this was a fun read. Still a big fan of the first AVP movie. We don't talk about number 2 unless we're talking about Wolf, but I would love to see AVP Prey as a movie. Until then, this was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait to see what happens in the adventures of Noguchi, aka Dr. D, and see what happens. So yeah, Alien vs. Predator Prey. by Steve and Stephanie Perry. 3 out of 5 stars. My name is Sarah, and bye!